Today, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful and maybe one of the most misunderstood tools in any writer's toolkit, the passive voice. Now, this isn't some error you need to hunt down and destroy. Nope, it's a strategic choice, and if you master it, it can be a game changer. So let's pull back the curtain and see how this thing really works.
You've heard this one, right? It's a classic for a reason. It perfectly captures the strange power of the passive voice. See, an action happened, but the way the sentence is built, it just leaves this huge piece of information hanging in the air.
Exactly. That question is everything. The person who actually made the mistakes, they're just gone. And that's not an accident, it's a deliberate move. The passive voice lets a writer hide, or downplay, or even completely remove the person doing the action. Understanding why you do that and how to do it right is what this is all about.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll dive into the mystery behind the passive voice. Then, we'll decode the formula so you can spot it anywhere. We'll cover the best times to actually go passive, unlock a few pro-level moves, and then wrap it all up with the one cardinal rule you absolutely can't forget.
So what's the big secret here? Well, it's all about controlling the spotlight. The active voice, it shines that light right on the person doing something. But the passive voice, it lets you deliberately swing that spotlight away from the doer, and instead, you can point it right at the action itself, or whatever, or whoever, is on the receiving end of it. Okay, so how is this little magic trick actually done? Well, the formula is surprisingly simple, and I promise, once you see the pattern, you are going to start spotting it everywhere. Let's break it down.
This right here is the engine under the hood. Pretty much every passive sentence follows this basic structure. You've got the subject, which is really the thing receiving the action. Then you have some form of the verb to be, like is, was, or has been. Next up is the past participle of the main verb, words like made, built, or seen. And that last little bit in parentheses, the by plus the agent, that's the key. It's optional, and leaving it out is where all that mystery comes from. Let's see this formula out in the wild. In the active voice, you get, they built this bridge. Simple. The focus is clearly on they. But watch what happens when we go passive. This bridge was built. Suddenly, the bridge is the star of the show, and poof, the builder has vanished. It's the same thing across all the tenses. The results will be announced. The project has been completed. See? In every single case, the thing that's receiving the action gets to take center stage.
All right, so we know what it is, we know how it's built. Now for the most important part, when in the world should you actually use it? I want you to think of these less as hard rules and more like 5 distinct strategic missions for your writing. So think of these as your 5 main mission profiles. Each one is a specific situation where switching over to passive gives your writing a real strategic advantage. It can make you sound more objective, more diplomatic, or just help you focus on what really, truly matters in the sentence. Let's see them in action. For example, the road was closed. I mean, who closed it? We don't know. And frankly, it doesn't matter. The important thing is the road is closed. Or, he was arrested. Well, yeah, by the police. Stating that is just redundant. In a new vaccine has been developed, the discovery itself is the headline, not the specific scientist behind it. And then you have the formal and polite examples. They show how the passive voice can create a little bit of distance, a little objectivity, turning a personal command into an official statement. And hey, once you get these 5 missions down, you can start combining the passive voice with other grammatical tools to unlock some really advanced pro-level moves. For example, you can combine it with modal verbs like must or can to create these really powerful instructions, like the report must be submitted. It also works great with gerunds to capture a feeling perfectly, as in, she hates being ignored. And when you're reporting, phrases like it is said that are absolutely essential for sharing information without having to name a specific source. Each of these just goes to show how flexible this tool really is. So, we've seen just how powerful and useful the passive voice can be. But, this is a precision tool, and using it the wrong way is exactly why so many of us were taught to avoid it completely. Now, that's an oversimplification for sure, but that warning does come from a very real place. So, here's the most important point of all. Do not overuse it. Seriously, using it strategically is the mark of a skilled writer. But relying on it too much, that's just going to make your writing feel wordy, vague, indirect, and honestly, kind of hard to read. The active voice is your go-to. It's direct, it's got energy, it's clear. The passive voice is your special ops tool. You only pull it out for specific missions. And finally, if you do decide to use the passive voice, when should you include that little by phrase? The rule is simple.
You only add the agent when knowing who they are is important or maybe even surprising. Saying the novel was written is fine, but saying it was written by George Orwell adds crucial information. On the flip side, in a sentence like English is spoken worldwide, adding by people is just completely unnecessary.
So, the power is officially in your hands. You've got the formula, you've got the missions, and you've got the warnings. The passive voice is no longer some mistake to be afraid of. It's a tool to be used with purpose. So the only question left is, how are you gonna wield it?